Welcome to Decentralized Application Development Crashcasts. I'm Sheila, and I'm here with Victor to dive into the fascinating world of decentralized systems. Before we begin, we'd love to hear from you. Visit crashcasts.com, join our Discord community, or support us on Patreon. Your engagement means the world to us.
Hello everyone, it's great to be here with Sheila to kick off our new season on Introduction to Decentralized Systems. Today we're starting Chapter 1, Understanding Decentralization, and we'll be focusing on the fundamental question, what is decentralization?
That's right, Victor. But before we dive in, I have a quiz question for our listeners. Ready? Here it is. True or false? Decentralization always means there's no central authority at all. Take a moment to think about it, and we'll reveal the answer at the end of the episode.
Ooh, that's an interesting question, Sheila. It really gets to the heart of some common misconceptions about decentralization. I'm excited to see what our listeners think. Without giving away the answer, I'd say this question touches on the nuances of different types of decentralized systems we'll be exploring throughout this season.
Absolutely, Victor. Now, to help our listeners understand today's topic better, could you start by giving us a simple definition of decentralization?
Certainly, Sheila. At its core, decentralization is the process of distributing power, control, or functions away from a central authority or location. Instead of having a single point of control, decentralized systems spread responsibility and decision-making across multiple participants or nodes in a network.
That's interesting, Victor. So, if I understand correctly, it's like taking a centralized system and spreading it out. Could you give us an analogy to help visualize this concept?
Great question, Sheila. Think of it like this. Imagine a traditional company with a CEO at the top, making all the decisions. That's a centralized system. Now picture a group of freelancers working together on a project, each with their own responsibilities and decision-making power. That's more like a decentralized system. Does that help clarify the concept?
That's a great analogy, Victor. It really helps to picture it that way. Now, I'm curious about the history of decentralization. When did this concept first emerge?
Well, Sheila, while the term decentralization might seem modern, especially in the context of technology, the concept has been around for centuries. In governance, for example, federalism is a form of decentralization that dates back to ancient times. However, in the context of technology and networks, decentralization gained prominence in the late 20th century, particularly with the advent of the Internet.
That's fascinating. It's interesting to see how old concepts find new applications in modern technology. Now, Victor, what are some of the basic principles of decentralized systems that our listeners should know about?
Great question, Sheila. There are several key principles. 1. Distribution of control. No single entity has complete authority over the system. 2. Redundancy. Multiple nodes can perform the same functions, increasing reliability. 3. Transparency. Often, decentralized systems are open and auditable by participants. 4. Resilience. The system can continue to function even if some parts fail. 5. Autonomy. Individual nodes or participants can often make decisions independently.
Those are really interesting principles, Victor. I'm particularly intrigued by the idea of resilience. Could you elaborate on how decentralization makes a system more resilient?
Certainly, Sheila. In a centralized system, if the central authority fails, the entire system can collapse. It's like having a single point of failure. In a decentralized system, even if some nodes or participants fail or are compromised, the system as a whole can continue to function. This is because the responsibilities and data are distributed across multiple points. It's similar to how a spider's web remains functional even if a few strands are broken.
That makes a lot of sense, Victor. Now, I've heard that there are different types of decentralization. Could you give us a brief introduction to these types?
Absolutely, Sheila. While we'll dive deeper into this in future episodes, it's good to have a basic understanding. There are generally three main types of decentralization. 1. Architectural decentralization. This refers to how many physical computers a system consists of. 2. Political decentralization. This is about how many individuals or organizations control those computers. 3. Logical decentralization. This considers whether the interface and data structures of the system appear more like a single monolithic object or an amorphous swarm. Each of these types can exist in varying degrees in different systems.
Wow, that's quite complex. I can see why we'll need separate episodes to dive into each of these. Victor, as we're nearing the end of our time, could you share a common misunderstanding about decentralization that our listeners should be aware of?
Certainly, Sheila. One common misconception is that decentralization is always better than centralization. In reality, both approaches have their strengths and weaknesses, and the best choice depends on the specific use case. Decentralization can offer benefits like increased resilience and reduced risk of single points of failure, but it can also introduce challenges in coordination and efficiency.
That's a great point, Victor. It's important to remember that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. Now, before we wrap up, let's reveal the answer to our quiz question. The statement was, decentralization always means there's no central authority at all. Victor, would you like to give us the answer?
Absolutely, Sheila. The answer is false. While decentralization does involve distributing power and control, it doesn't always mean a complete absence of any central authority. There can be varying degrees of decentralization, and some systems might have a mix of centralized and decentralized elements.
Thank you, Victor. To summarize today's episode, 1. Decentralization is about distributing power, control, or functions away from a central authority. 2. Key principles include distribution of control, redundancy, transparency, resilience, and autonomy. 3. There are different types of decentralization: architectural, political, and logical. 4. Decentralization isn't always better than centralization. The best approach depends on the specific use case. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to visit crashcasts.com, join our Discord community, or support us on Patreon. Your engagement helps us create better content for you. See you in the next episode, where we'll dive deeper into the key characteristics of decentralized systems.